Yes, Gracie, we just went live on Facebook and YouTube, hopefully. So let me know if you can hear me, where you're checking in from. Gracie is this tiny kitten. That is she's not she's not a okay, she's not a kitten. She's a full grown cat, but she's wee. And she is running around my feet, so she'll probably at some point be here on the desk because that's how cats work. So I know I can see the folks there. Hi, hello, Susan. Excellent. All right, we know that YouTube is working. Yay. I kind of meant to do this last night. I was like, it's Friday the 13th. We should totally, do a live check-in with everybody on Friday the 13th because that'll be fun. And I don't know, fuck all happened last night. It was until this morning. I was like, oh. Hello, Jamar. All right. Hello, Janet. Excellent. Good. It's working. At least it's working on YouTube. So if you're seeing this on Facebook, let me know. And hopefully, anyway, so kind of a funny thing is, so I've always loved Friday the 13th. I'm born on June 13th, and it's always been kind of a lucky day, it feels like, and but it's always been like Saturday the 14th, not so great. But today's actually been fairly decent. Hello, Azrael. Got the beginning of that. So. And today's been very productive. I've gotten several thousand words moving along on the next book, Visual Alchemy. Hello, Irina. Oh, okay. So Facebook is. Oh, okay. Let's go. Wherever platform you're joining, this is why I started setting this up on StreamYard so that I could hit both platforms at once. Probably multiple ones past that, but I'm just like, what is technology? What's going on here? So today's been pretty productive. And if you saw on Instagram, maybe on Facebook, is I went out to feed the fish today and discovered that we actually have frogs, which is not, okay, so it's not surprising because we did purchase tadpoles back in like May or June, but they're really hard to see. I mean, they were still a significant size, so occasionally you'd see this little lump with a tail and eyes kind of like near the surface of the water, but the fish are very active. And, there were 4 of them, but you could never see all 4 of them at once. So I just had no idea of like, do we still have tadpoles? Have they become frogs? Have they moved on? What have they gotten eaten? Because we call it the murder pond. That tends to happen. But no, at least 2 honest frogs in there. Hello, Michelle. Thank you, Azrael Ophian. There we go. Thank you. Words are hard. I'm trying to pronounce. I hate mispronouncing anything too, but my brain does that thing. So it's been. Sorry, this screen is shaking. Trying to adjust here. It has been a hot minute. It's been very kind of busy and seemingly not at the same time. It's been strange times, right? Like we're all like, are we getting ready to go out into the world? And then as the Delta variant's been coming in, we're like, not so much, huh? Not quite a thing. And like, what does that mean for fall events? Which some of you will remember. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Marcus. I was not, especially coming into May and June of this year, going, I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic. What the fall is going to look like, because I kind of had a feeling this is what's going to happen. And as it is, the couple of fall events that were definitely on the schedule have been postponed or canceled. And I already had a low bar, so I'm like, this is good. What this means for the fall is that I'll be able to schedule more virtual workshops. I haven't really been doing a lot of that this summer, partly because it's summer and I would, hopefully you're all at least getting out some fresh air. Oh, Mahana, hello. Oh, good to see you. At least your text. I imagine you in my head. a beautiful picture of you. And so, didn't really want to schedule a lot of workshops and things going on. We're all kind of hopefully getting out in the world while we can. But as we move back into the fall and the colder months, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be probably getting up to 2 to 3 workshops again. And so that is kind of a thing looking at the fall. We are still trying to decide if there's going to be a Witches Night Out market this fall. We have a date reserved. But, what's it like for indoor events? For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Witches Night Out market is a very large event. It didn't, wasn't really thinking we were going to get a lot of folks, but like the first event we threw in the Rhode Island area brought 2,000 people. Most of them generally get 400, 600, 700, 800 people. And if you do have limitations on indoor event attendance, generally that's like 50, 100, 200, 250 people. Well, if we have 100 vendors and volunteers and other folks on staff, that means like nobody can come in. So while there are no restrictions right now in Rhode Island, who knows what that's going to be like. Hello, Ivy and Rick. Yay, I'm on your TV. I'm on the TV. Sorry. This is what happens when I've been writing for most of the day is I get extra silly. And I've really much been talking to cats and frogs. Because Nathan is in Gettysburg doing a steampunk convention. So some of my anybody's checking in from that, but that is, we are multitasking. And hello, Jennifer. So many of you, I know I've recognized that you took advantage of the release yesterday in the shop, the Friday the 13th release of the Turo bags and the tank tops, and some of you on Patreon also had a little coupon. And so thank you all so much for shopping with vigor. Hopefully I'll be able to fill all those orders and get them out Monday or Tuesday. So hello, more folks coming in. Hello, Rachel from Ontario, and Laura. Hi, Laura. Hope you're keeping cool. And bug-free as well in Arizona. So what also was really good news is that the Liminal Spirits Oracle is finally back in stock. It had been expected to come back in July, and it took its sweet time. But again, it's sort of the nature of things right now. So that's back in stock. It's in the shop, as does all the books, I think, unless y'all bought me out. I have to check. Hey, Victoria. So I thought to kind of celebrate that, we'll pull a card this evening. And also what I happen to have here too is the Marie Laveau candle wrap. Yay, I love how this came out. That's also the exciting news too, is that the giclée for the Marie Laveau piece arrives from the test print anyway, arrived this past week, and it's good to go. So I ordered the rest of them. They should be here shortly. And so if you ordered one of those pieces, the giclées on hand, they're hand embellished on wood. In the next couple of weeks, they'll be heading out. So yay for that. Things are kind of rolling along cautiously. I hope. Let's see the other things. So one I'm working on right now, you might have seen a couple postings about it, especially today, is what I'm tentatively calling at this point is visual alchemy, which is Sigil Witchery 2.0 part of it. It's building on the concepts that are in Sigil Witchery. Sigil Witchery. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call next book Sigil Witchery. Sigil Witchery and Sigil Witchy. It goes into a lot more of the problem solving and the technique, the metaphysics of it, so taking that method and sort of blowing it out further, but also exploring the intersection of art and magic, because that's where I feel that sigils really are nestled in, is this wonderful little space where art comes through with magic, and how we affect the world, how we are creative. And so if you are a magical practitioner, a witch, a occultist, whatever your identity titles you apply to yourself, as well as an artist or an artisan, there is a little survey that I've just put out with posing, like, share your experience of what does it mean to be a witch and an artist, or do you have a magical process for creating your art, or advice for other folks? Because I'd like to bring some other voices, just like little 300 to 500 words from other folks to So it's not just me telling you how to do this, but a variety of different artists. If you're a sculptor, if you work in fabric, if you work in metal, if you're a digital drawer, if you're a traditional painter, if you make oracle decks, if you designed a tarot, all of these different things. If you create spellcraft, that's also art. Love to hear from you. So that is on my author page. I also shared it on Twitter, and a bunch of folks shared it from there. So, I mean, sigil wedgery versus this different than a sigil wedgie. That's some practical magic. So I don't know when it is officially going to be released. This is all, I'm working on the first draft of the book right now, and it was just kind of the idea that came to me today of so this weird thing about books is the writing of forwards for books. And of course, my very first book, The Witch's Cauldron, was part of a series of witches' tools that didn't have forwards. So I didn't deal with that with the first book. It was just a relief. It was like, oh my God, am I supposed to do a forward? I don't know. This is the first book I've written. No, and then the other ones have this. Great. But when it came to sigil witchery, I was like, I guess I should. And my dear friend Anar, who is a dancer and artist and creative individual of many different disciplines, they wrote the forward for sigil witchery. And so it was a sort of like, yeah, they know me. I know them. It's good. But every book subsequently from there, obviously not The Witch's Altar with Jason, but Weave the Liminal and Anatomy of a Witch is sort of like this pairing of like finding someone to read your book and write about it, but also someone who knows you, who, it's sort of complicated. And so I'm going, what about sigil witchery? And Visual Alchemy 2.0, Sigil Witchery 2.0, Visual Alchemy. So again, it's like the working title, and when it comes down to the official launch meeting, the title might get tweaked, the subtitle might get tweaked. Who knows? This is how publishing works. I can make an argument for what I want, and they usually get it. At least the parts I care about. Like Weave the Liminal was very important. Like I didn't want modern traditional witch, which would have been very basic and informative from a title, but I wanted the evocative title. I see Lynn checking in from Indiana, who is reading Weave the Liminal at the moment, enjoying it very much. Thank you. So, that kind of meant the thing for Anatomy of a Witch. That was really, it was the second title, but it was still a title that I chose. And that was really kind of important. So, when I say working title, it's like these things can change. But Visual Alchemy is the title of one of the first workshops that I've taught on the intersection of art and magic. And it's actually where sigil witchery came out of. So it's kind of funny, like we're doing this crazy loop. It was actually also, I don't say, but like actually a lot, actually, get it out of the system. It was the first book that I proposed to Llewellyn was Visual Alchemy. And I was they were very enthusiastic about it, but I was also intimidated. Like I have to write a book, or I have to write a book proposal. I really care about this subject. How do I do this? And kind of bypassing that to do The Witch's Cauldron, which I do care about, but it was sort of like, it's a fun thing. This is a really kind of, here's a process, here's the form to follow, here's the thing. And so, sigil witchery was the first like dear to my heart book. Obviously, Weave the Liminal and Anatomy of a Witch are also the kind of dear heart, books for me. And so Visual Alchemy is continuing to build on that, but it is that full circle. I did more initially the tracing of the history, and I feel like I covered a lot of that history aspect in sigil witchery, which I know a lot of folks have enjoyed, but I don't also want to repeat. I want to repeat the wheel. So bringing in, this is really long. This is the how did I get back to including artist voices, is thinking about like, who would I want for forward? And like, oh, there are so many artists that I absolutely whose work I admire and adore, and I think I'd love to have them, share a little bit of their process. So I went from thinking about the forward to having these samplings of wisdom from artists that I admire, as well as artists maybe I don't even know. Like maybe I don't know you, but I do want to learn more about your work, and I think other people should also share and know about it. So you can submit, and if it fits, you can see about what happens there. So excellent. So that's a little bit of the big thing. The other thing is the Oracle, the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle that has gone into the second draft was already submitted. Now all of that has been submitted, which means it's probably going into the layout process and kind of the fine tuning and the final edits and such. So that is going to due out in summer of next year, which I know feels like a really long time, but everyone, as the memes have been showing me this past week, it is only 4 more months until 2022. So fuck, right? What happened to 2021? Here we are. So things move around pretty fast. So this book, Visual Alchemy, could be out in the fall, winter, early spring 2022, 2023. We shall discover. So as soon as I know that, I will share that with all of you. Lisa, hello, Lisa. Lisa says, I enjoyed, I'm going to do this. Enjoyed the Cauldron book and all the Cauldron activities. It really brought to all the meaning versus the word home to me. Excellent. Yeah, it's like a little, I've said this before, it's a little brownie of a book, and I absolutely adore it. And I'm kind of glad that that was my foray into writing books. Obviously I've been writing articles for magazines for years, been writing blog for years, all sorts of things, all different kinds of publications, but I hadn't, finished writing a book until The Witch's Cauldron. So, and I go back and I check that book, and like they're really kind of, it is a little brown book full of goodness, little nuts of wisdom, as well as The Witch's Altar, which just also got back in stock, at least in the shop. So, and other things. So tomorrow, I think some of you are joining me for the Tarot Intensive, which is going to be a scheduled 4 hours for this workshop, and that includes the breaks. This is the first Tarot Intensive. It is the Tempest Tips for Tarot, kind of blown out into a slightly longer period of time with a smaller group of people, so that it doesn't feel rushed, because I always feel like I'm running a marathon when I'm trying to squeeze that workshop into 2 hours. So we'll go on a journey, and ideally, I know a lot of folks are asking if I was going to offer it again. Yes, I'll offer it at some point in the fall or early winter. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure to join the newsletter that's on my website, lauratempestsacroft.com. And then, of course, we have Sigil Witchery, which is also sold out on Tuesday, but there will be another Sigil Witchery. If it's not in fall, it's not in September, it will definitely be in October. So, hi, Janet, this little brown book. You can get The Witch's Cauldron on my website, hopefully. I don't know if it's sold out right this moment. I had 2 copies that were up. So you can go to alchemysquare.site. I'm going to put this up. Can do a little banner. I can create a banner. I'm sorry, I shouldn't try to sing. So if you go directly to add banner, doing the thing. We're gonna do the thing. Show me the banner. Okay. So if you go to this, opposite. You go to this address right here. This is my shop site. That's where you can see my art. You can see clothing, tarot bags, books and such. If they're not in stock right now and I'm temporarily sold out, I will get more. Otherwise, you can check your local witch shop, local bookstore. Check your indie bookstore out. You can get, it's the Witch's Tool series, part of the Witch's Tool series from Llewellyn. So they are everywhere, and anybody who is a bookstore can easily order them. So if it's out of stock on my website and you don't care about getting a signed copy, check your local shop and see what's going on. that will be another easy place to do that. And I'm going to pop back over here so I can see the comments. Yay, there we go. So that's about a new course. If you go to lauratempestzachroff.com, you can just go to the shop and that will get you there as well. So many places on the internet, right? So I am shuffling right now the Liminal Spirits Oracle. And, this deck, I think we officially kind of celebrated its birthday back in June. 1 year old. And this is, I said, the second edition, or second printing, and because they sold out, and so they were a little hard to get. Luis, hello. Good to see you, Luis. Oh, I was really hoping we'd be able to tour this fall and get around and see folks, but I don't think it's going to happen until next year. Until, you know, people are learning things the awful hard way, and that's unfortunate. But as it is, venues, shops, etc., need to feel like they can safely hold events. People need to feel safe as well, and that's important. All right, so what card do we have? It's time. It's time. All about time. So time in the Liminal Spirits Oracle is one of the rights group, that is roots, inspiration, time, environment, and star. It is in We the Liminal how you help construct your practice and your path. And it's your lunar schedule. It's your solar schedule. It's your personal schedule. It's your body's clock. It is the special days. It's the spaces in between. So I feel like time showing up right now as we're talking about what we're looking at the fall is patience. I feel like this is a big call for patience, of still paying really close attention to our bodies and our communities and what is necessary for us to take care of everyone, versus rushing, like everything in good time. Let's see if I said anything really pithy in the book. Isn't it convenient that I wrote a book? I think so. So, let's see. The setting of the sun marks the end of one day and the beginning of another. This is true. Things may be in transition, but there is new opportunity on the horizon. It's time to buckle down and set a schedule for yourself that makes sense for your mind, for your body, and your spirit. Rushing has led to important details being overlooked or forgotten. Good points. So, thinking about those influences and gaining power from that, and remembering what's important on the day-to-day, right? It's easy to overlook what the big things are and forget those small, important details, which are essential to our daily practice, to take it one day at a time. So I think good card to keep in mind. Thanks, Oracle. So does anybody have any questions? I'm going to think of what else. I didn't write down an agenda. Let's see. What does Lynn say here? Every time I seek to learn patience, fate smacks me down with hurdles to get over. I've learned to keep my mouth shut and seek quietly, right? Very wise thing to do, because life kind of rolls like that, right? I'm going to take that little banner off, so we're going to hide that for now. Isn't this fun? Okay. So back to comment section. So I know that there is a little bit of lag going on, so I'll kind of keep an eye out for that while I have some wine. We're also having, I know the West Coast is having a bit of a heat wave, as is the East Coast, and I'm going to guess that most of the United States is having, most of North America seems to be having a bit of a heat wave. So hopefully things were set get to cool down. Particularly, I was expecting thunderstorms. It promised me thunderstorms, and there was like this little wee of a shower earlier today, and like that didn't do much. So I don't have a lot of. Hopefully, it will be cooler. Hello, Jeff. Good to see you, Jeff. What's this? What is Rachel? I'll pop this up here. My body clock does not operate in conventional ways of business hours. Learn to go with what it has been life-changing, right? Right. It is so important to understand that your body works on its own schedule, and that everybody is a bit different. Right. So whether you're a night owl, whether you're a morning person, what are your energy levels, what can your body deal with? Like, there's so many different things. And it's like we kind of run ourselves down trying to go against what is naturally good or healthy for our bodies. So yeah, it is. It's amazing when you kind of go with that universal flow in there. Let's see. Oh, looks like we have a call. Rick is supposed to be chilling some Takura plum wine. That sounds very nice, Ivy. Very nice. And hello, Sue Ann. Hi, everybody. Yay. I'm glad you're all joining me. Yay. So I have someone to talk to besides cats and frogs. I also had hoped at the end of this month, we're doing a little trip to the Pacific Northwest to see family and hopefully see some friends. And initially, it was looking back in the early part of the summer that we could maybe do a few events, such as concerts and workshops and such. And that's not going to happen. This go around, though, if you're someone that I like to see and you like to see me, then maybe we can we'll see what happens. If we have a bit of time in there, and hopefully the weather will work as well. I know there's been a lot of fires going on out there. Hello, Amanda. Does Ivy say, I love that the frogs came. Well, the frogs were in the pond. It's just that they've now moved from tadpoles to frogs, which I guess, yes, I know this is a natural process of things, that tadpoles become frogs. Like, I do know that. Science. But I've never had it happen in my backyard. Like, I purchased the tadpoles, I put them into the pond, and then they just kept looking like tadpoles for the longest ass time. And then, like I said, you can't see all of them at the same time. So you're like, am I seeing the same tadpole? Is there like only one of these things in this pond? Or are four of them? What is going on? So, yes. Let's see, season. There we go. Do you think you'll do ritual workouts this fall? Hopefully. So kind of been doing, I was like, I'm getting back into it. And then the energy levels were just not there. So I'm hoping in the fall to pick up maybe 1 or 2 a week. I don't think I'm going to go back to trying to do 4 a week because it's a lot to kind of plan. What it would be really helpful for me to help create more ritual workouts is knowing what you're interested in. If there's specific movements that you'd like to see or broken down, or different concepts that you'd like to see incorporated into ritual movement, comment on videos or send me a message. And that is really, really helpful for me, because often my brain works better for somebody has a problem, let me solve that problem, versus like, oh, I should get up and generate something. I'm not a, in this age, I'm gonna say you're a content creator. I'm like, I don't really think about creating content. I think about, random videos where I check in with folks and what is exciting for me to think about. Like, I have an idea, I have to tell some people, because it's such a Gemini thing. So I'm not really thinking about like, is this something that people are excited to see and will get a lot of views? No, I'm just like, I have this thing that I need to tell people. That's how I roll. So to kind of help direct that, if you share a little bit of, what you're excited about, or particularly, videos, I do track what's going on the YouTube videos and try to keep an eye on those. Let's see here. Victoria says, I really wanted to visit the Pacific Northwest. His housing. Yeah, it's, I can't believe it's been, the last time that we were in the Pacific Northwest was November of 2019. Nathan's been out traveling solo for family stuff going on, but I haven't been able to make it out. Mainly because with everything going on, we didn't want to have somebody in the house taking care of the cats who, it was pre-vaccination time. So we're switching back and forth, but now we have vaccinated cat sitter who's awesome, can stay with the cats. And so this is our first foray out into the world together. And gosh, I hope it's going to be good. It will be good. I'll get to see people. I'll get to pet kittens. It'll be great. So obviously that was an impressive pace you kept us. Okay. Yeah. This also been sort of my lesson for the last year is not everything needs to get done. Not everything needs to get done right away. It's a matter of prioritizing and putting the effort into, I'd rather put the effort and the quality into what I feel most drawn to at the moment than trying to satisfy everything. Because you're not going to win that way. Not that I'm trying to win anything. Lynn says, I'd like to use the option to dance to work on core strengthening as well. So also kind of a funny thing, as this week, because today's Saturday, so it was earlier this week, I got a folding exercise bike. I've been kind of wanting an exercise bike since the pandemic started, but I hate the big plastic. Like I'm not into spinning or whatever that's called. And, you won't find me in a gym. Nothing against gyms. You just won't find me personally in a gym. And so I was kept thinking about when I was little, my grandmother, I'm going to say it's my grandmother's because I don't ever think I saw my grandfather on it. My grandmother had this little exercise bike, a stationary bike in her sewing room. And I thought it was like the greatest thing. I was just get on the bike and just go. And because they were in South Philadelphia, it wasn't really a safe place to go run around outside so much, at least not at that time in in the early 80s. It was not really a great time to go running around neighborhoods. The playgrounds were all like full of glass and broken stuff. And so it was like inside is what you did, or a little tiny concrete backyard. So really fond memories of stationary bikes. And so I was kind of like, I need to get one of those because they're small and they're metal and they're cool. And it reminds me of grandma. And I kept looking and finally somebody, one of my friends out there said, there's folding exercise bikes. Like, really? That's great, because I don't know where I'd put it. I wanted to be in, the ritual room so that I had a little space. So I'm wondering if at some point I'm going to do a live session where I'm on an exercise bike, because I'm working on doing arm stuff as well. I'm figuring that out. But I'm going to take a little time to figure it out before we start filming it. So I've been doing that regularly. That is a fun thing. Rachel says, gently working into snake arms with shoulders. I think they're a bad idea. Yes. So working with snake arms, you definitely want to do your shoulder rolls and kind of just work out. The best thing about snake arms, which again, I can break those down. I think I did a little breakdown on one of the ritual workouts, but it's always good to go back and cover that subject again, because there's a lot of nuance to it. And so kind of working those back, the trapezius muscles, and moving it out without trying to like get the whole arm. It's like a little bit of time. And that's what I'm doing right now on the exercise bike, is just doing arm circles and doing little low snake arms, which has been kind of fun. So what does Ivy say? Authentic community and sharing, not schedules. Yes. Victoria says, for the ritual workout, even once a week, like a ritual that we can all do together, we could practice. That doesn't have to be a brand new idea. Yes. So that's definitely an idea. Maybe put that one into the Patreon Discord. I should probably just have like an idea channel in there for things for me to come back to, because I guarantee I'll probably be like, what was that idea we talked about that one time? Hello, Karen from Wisconsin. Janice says, keep getting things done small so I don't get frustrated and give up. That, I'm going to share that one here. That's important too, right? A little bit at a time. this is not a time to take on like major things and feel like, especially if we still have a low energy level. Like it's still exhausting out there, folks. It's going to continue to be exhausting. So little bites. We're all little sharks. I'm not singing any shark songs. Let's see. Movement syncing. Yes. That is something to consider. So things that work with Anatomy of a Witch. So there are a few different ritual workouts that line up with that, but I haven't done one specifically post the publication of the book. Catterday Weekend. What a great name. I'm glad that the ritual workouts was Catterday Weekend. That's like my new favorite band. Oh, Ivy, you also had grandma's stationery bag. What color was your grandma's station? My grandma's was like a yellow, and it wasn't a bright yellow. It was sort of, and it wasn't the mustard quite. It's sort of the Burt's Bees yellow. As I see a like chapstick on my shelf here. So this is great stuff. Yeah, and I am kind of, as you saw, hopefully if you saw, I did the new moon dance a week ago. My God, it's already been a week. And because I just realized I hadn't been dancing, I hadn't been moving in a while, and it was good to just put on music and dance and kind of play around with a new screen background for that room and just kind of see. So it was very releasing, and I was surprised I didn't it didn't hurt the next day. Ivy said it was copper. It was copper. Oh, very nice. I wonder what happened to that exercise bike. It probably went to Goodwill. I was not in the area when my grandparents' house basically had to be cleaned out, which is fine. If I've moved enough times, I can't imagine I'd still have that bike because you move across the country 3 times. You're kind of like, am I taking this bike with me? Probably not. But folding, right? A folding stationary bike. Not that I've folded it down, and I don't think it really folds down that small. It's just more of this idea like it could get smaller if I wanted to. Kind of ridiculous. So and that's why I'm really trying to make that a little bit each day, and especially because I had intentions of like Nathan has a bike and a friend gave me her bike, and which still needs to get adjusted for the right height and a few other different things, like a tire needing to be replaced, and like, okay, we got to get that taken care of. And now it's raining, and now it's humid, and now like the great thing about having something indoors, I can like just get up in my pajamas, freak out the cats, and cycle for a little bit is regardless, and I'll be able to do that ideally all the way through the winter. So we'll see and keep it up. I already did it for today. I think I might do it again. I'm trying to see what I like to do better. So I am not a like exercise guru person. I know I dance, and that's people think like, if you dance, you must be super into like fitness and stuff. I'm like, you do not know me. I am not to say I'm lazy, but that's I just know that I need to move. I need to move more, and it needs to be more than holding the weed whacker for a half an hour and pushing the lawnmower and digging things up and going for walks. I need just a little bit more. And the great thing about it too is that this requires no thought for me. So while I absolutely love doing the ritual workouts, I love that you all are getting something from it. Like for me to do that for other folks is like, there's thought. Like I have to plan what the concept is for that. Even if I'm getting up that day, I think about the concept, I put the music together, it has to get filmed, all that. There's sort of a nice thing to just be like, get on the bike, put on a podcast or Netflix or whatever, and just ride for 15 to 30 minutes. So, and scare the cats. So, Lindsay, put biking on YouTube. Yeah, see, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this so that I can like see and talk to y'all at the same time and figure out where the camera is and still see the comments on the bike. So we'll see. There's a little bit of logistics because I did not get a super fancy bike. I got like a special, like not expensive bike, but sturdy bike. But I think it would be kind of fun to do like one of these while I'm biking. Just see how it goes. Victoria says, I went from dancing every day to biking for years, but can't say I helped at core. So, of course, I do research at the same time, like, okay, what am I supposed to do for biking and such? And I was seeing from a few of the different points that how your arms are, how your arms are positioned can help with the core. And I'm not entirely sure if I believe that yet, or if it's a different kind of thing. So it is an experiment. So, and also for another one from Victoria is some of us dance as ecstasy and flow, not exercise, right? I will say though that a year ago, it's been now a year since I started the Witchell workouts. I think it was early August of last year that I started it. It definitely helped me physically feel better. So while I wouldn't consider it like super exercise, it was enough movement that it helped my mind and spirit as well as my body. And that schedule, so here's the thing about, writing about Anatomy of a Witch, it's a very body oriented book on, it's a map to the magical body. And that means I've been sort of hypersensitive about how my body feels. Like, obviously these are concepts that I've been working with for several decades, but really focusing on how to teach and explain that to other people reflects back on how do I see this? How does this work? And, the Oracle deck, the last one getting ready in March and kind of working on that was not a really active period. And a few other things happening. It's like I haven't been doing, dancing 3 to 4 days a week, and I can feel that. I can really feel that. And I don't like the way that makes me feel. It's not any sort of how I look at my body, but it's an internal kind of thing. And I can say, like, in the last couple of days of just getting on my stupid little folding exercise bike has made things better. Let's see. Ivy says functional enjoyment movement has appeal. The gym, not so much. Yeah. And as another thing too, is like, there are other people at the gym. Like, there are people. Like, yes, you're like, but I'm a person. Yes, you're a person. You're not people at the gym. And not dudes at the gym, which is another kind of thing I don't want to ever deal with. Also from Ivy, I used to read Shakespeare out loud while on the stationary bike in high school. That is fun. So because I'm going to be, working on writing this book, I can't listen to podcasts while I write. I can only listen to music, and often wordless music or music that's in other languages. So it's kind of fun that I'll be able to still keep on top of my podcast, because there's a lot that I like to listen to, that I'll be able to do that while I'm biking. So that's exciting. It's not so much any sort of visual stimulation, but I suppose I could put some sort of screensaver up and look at that too. But it's good enough for the mind. So Victoria says, I agree with the Witchell workout, helping with mind and spirit, moving in that way better than not moving at all. It'll help. I'm glad that it helped all of us to do that. And the Witchell works helped me move. My chi energy is recovering from dental surgery. That's stuff with the mouth, right? You need to get it's hard to get out of your head and change that. Rachel says, university days, I wrote all essays to opera. Oh, I can see that being invigorating, right? Especially if you don't know Italian. I'd probably pick up random words in there. But right, it's sort of like, there's a whole bunch of different things that I listen to, and the track changes as in what pace I am or where I'm in the book. There's a particular kind of tribal drumming techno sort of thing that kicks in usually where I'm in the last couple thousand words, or in the editing phase. That drives Nathan nuts, because if he's in the next room, he can just hear like the strange sort of ticking. But I'm like, I've got it on. It's going. Danushka, hello, Danushka. Oh, yay. Again, happy birthday to Danushka. Danushka's birthday was, I think it was yesterday. Again, it's like, what is time? Maybe Danushka might be able to see you we're coming out to Olympia soon. I'll touch base with you about that. Victoria posted a witchy ambient for writing backgrounds too. Posted the link in there too. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm kind of fascinated by the ones that say like for increased concentration, for peacefulness, for mind, do I really believe any of those? Like, well, music has a way of making you feel. Some of the ones that I find, I'm like, oh, this is calming. I find it annoying, but we're wired a little differently too. So, yeah, and there's so much on YouTube. It's kind of good, and they're usually like quite a few hours long. Like the shortest one's an hour. Most of them are like 3, 4, 6 hours even. So, hello, Lisa! Yay! It's kind of funny when you put on a 6-hour music, writing thing, and you're like, get to the end of it, you're like, why is it quiet? Shit, I've been here for 6 hours. That's where the time goes. So that's kind of fun. Time for wine. Yes. So other exciting things. So we've covered the shop release. We know there'll be upcoming workshops. Also, with the workshops, I haven't decided what September is going to be. So if you have any requests for September, particularly, and you look at my offering list, I'm always open for feedback, what folks want to hear. Sigil Witchery is usually every month or every other month because that one always sells out. There's, again, more people like, what, it's sold out? I'm like, I don't know. Join the newsletter. If you join the newsletter, you will know. It comes out, sign up, you'll have it. So we'll see. I know there was a quest for some bit of ritual movement too in workshop. So we'll see. It's a little more complicated to, for me anyway, to teach movement via a workshop format via Zoom. I know it can be done because I've done it, but I kind of like a little more conversational style versus being back there. So, all right. And what else is going on? As you know, yesterday I posted another 6 minutes of witchcraft as well. That was about the question I get the most. So if you feel inclined to say like, I drew the sigil, what does it mean? I drew the sigil, what does it mean? Go check out yesterday's post before you write me. I will not generally respond to those anyway. Just because. I also, there is kind of this, how do I put this? I feel like when it comes to witchcraft is you need to be willing to do the footwork. And this is not just to do the footwork up front, to do the work up front, to do the hard stuff, the hard labor, whatever you want to call it, right? Up front, because if you're into witchcraft, you're going to be doing that the entire time. Like there's no like, some things get easier, but there's still a lot of things where, yep, you're still going to be sitting there peeling the leaves off the mugwort, laying the drying down. Like there's no just like, boop, easy, done. Because there's a process to it. And in learning these things and learning how to craft sigils and learning how to create ritual, I think one of the best things you can do is to experiment and come up with your ideas yourself and see. There's a tendency to want to find validation, to feel like, oh, I've got to use somebody else's ritual so it works. It's like, take a moment. Think about rituals that you have been to. And if you're like, well, I'm new to witchcraft, I've never been to a ritual before. If you have been to church, you have been to a ritual. If you have been to temple, you have been to a ritual, right? If you have been to a graduation, you have been to a ritual. So think about how those processes are, how things roll, and what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and how would you apply that to whatever ritual it is that you want to do. So whether that's an initiation, a dedication, a calming ritual, a cleansing ritual. And of course, these are things that are both in Weave the Liminal and Anatomy of a Witch, especially Anatomy of a Witch, about constructing ritual and making it dynamic and effective. But I'm not going to write any rituals for anybody unless it's in a book, right? this is part of one of the most integral important things you can learn as a magical practitioner is how to trust yourself and how to experiment, to take ideas that you have in your head and be able to grow with them, to play with them, and also to make mistakes. I have done a lot of rituals that had fantastic results and at the same time had not to say terrible results, but a few things. Tables have been set on fire, rooms have gotten smoky, which means the smoke alarm goes off, and there was a bat in the house one time, like all these different things that happen. And they're just part of the learning process. So I guarantee that, minus physical hazards of like fire, safety, smoke, flooding, outside the physical realm, which is usually what we're not thinking about, right? Where we're like, I'm going to craft this magical, mystical experience. You're like, it's going to be very spiritual. And then you like forget that you're setting off shit underneath the smoke alarm, and then everything gets evacuated out. Think about the whole picture. But you can do the thing. I'm going to pop this one up from Victoria. I was thinking more about the little 6 minutes and realized that so many of us haven't grown up with community or circle to check in with, so no background at all. Just taking your own ideas can feel arrogant. Seeking validation is related to a person becoming courage to trust in themselves, right? So, I mean, we want, I think that's for everybody, right? That we do want to feel like we're doing the right thing. But also, I mean, especially in the generation of the 90s and the early O's, while there was some community, most folks, in that first big boom were just kind of figuring out their own shit. I did a lot of figuring out my own shit. I did a lot of reading of books. But when I'm running a group for the first time, I was just like, hey, and there's nothing about arrogance, right? It's simply part of the process of playing and seeing what works. It's like a dance, right? If you're choreographing a dance, if you're improvising dance, if you have an idea for a dance, you are going to choose the music and see if does this music work? Do these movements work with this? Does this costuming work with this, right? So if you look at it not as this is a ritual, but as a dance, right? Or a play, or we're crafting a song, right? Playing, experimenting with it, instead of seeing like this huge amount of what could go wrong, what could go right? How could this go right? Make notes for next time. So that can make a huge difference. And, and say, check your ego, like, I'm the most powerful witch in the world. Like, that's not going to happen. It could happen for a couple people. But just, think about that. The rituals are so many different levels of experience and impact, and there are the little tiny things we do, and then there are the big things that we do. And if you're working with deity to do something, then consult and work and meditate with the deity before you go to the next step. So I think it really comes down to reestablishing the trust within yourself. Because I think we go back to being teenagers. Yeah. Cocky aspect of, yes, I know everything about the world. Not to say you want to go to that far end and find that golden mean of things, but to go back to having a sense of like, I can do the thing, right? And if you're like, well, I was never a teenager who did that. Well, you're going to discover it. You can do the thing. I believe in you. So, and the other thing too is, I think it's also establishing relationships. So folks who have taken workshops with me, folks who I have met in different places and met on tour and performances, etc. There's a familiarity, and so it's like when you have a question of like, is this a good idea for a ritual? I can give you a bit of feedback because I know you, or you are already familiar with my material in some way. Like random people who have like don't even say hello. Write me a ritual. Like, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Why do you think you can get into my messages or inbox and like demand things? Like, that's just shit. Don't do that. Don't do that to people. And I don't think that's any of you because you're here and you've been sitting here. But it's kind of amazing that people are just like, I can demand things. Like, no, you can't. No, you can't. So at least not going to get a response besides what I just, my little outburst right there. It's like, I'm not going to reply because I don't owe anybody anything. I owe myself the respect. Let's see. Victoria says, I remember having to ask someone to help me know how to pray. They were shocked by, yeah, well, prayer is a big concept. And knowing Victoria, right? And, we had a lot of conversations. Is that coming from a Jewish background versus a Catholic or other kind of Christian background, right? Versus a Hindu background, like versus a Muslim background. Like all of those have different approaches to that method. And then folks who come from a total atheistic background, right? Or agnostic, like how do you do the thing? Experimenting. Come up with your own. Ivy, our household practices are very intuitive, almost entirely. The correspondence offers a line, and if we stop to think it through, but the gut check words are hard, but the gut check always works either way. You just build it up through confidence. Laura, funniest thing to me is when someone draws a sigil and messages you what it means. I mean, I laugh. And I delete. Or I keep a secret folder of things to laugh at later. No, I'm not. And also, to be clear, I'm not laughing at anybody's sigils. I will never laugh at anyone's sigil. Almost, I'm sure there's probably a 1% that I can think of that I might do that for somebody who probably deserves it. But no, I'm laughing at the ludicrousy. Like, you drew it. What does it mean? No, I can tell you, but it's going to cost you $50. If you would like me to critique your sigils, that is a whole other thing. And you want written feedback on that? Yeah, it might cost you. Because that's my time. And I got art to make. And I got books to write. And I got dances to do. And I got frogs to talk to. I have frogs and cats to talk to. I promise I didn't have a really big glass of wine. I'm not even sauced. This is the beginning of the book sillies. In another week, I probably won't even be verbal. I will just be like, I mean, I'm like that already, very gestury. Oh, life is interesting. But as Ivy say, it's still either they don't know or they want you to guess. There was one where I was like, is this a test? Like, is this a test that you're trying to get me to tell you what your sigil's about? I'm like, what the fuck's that? No, I don't play that way. Oh, big one right there, Victoria. So often people need to do their own homework, right? Do your work, do your homework, not my job. I know you can respect my opinion perhaps, but still. There is the right time and place for that. So, and I don't want anybody to feel bad who's like taken a sigil witchery class with me and has sent me something that they've worked on and said, how's this going? I don't mind giving you a little bit of like, that looks good feedback, or think about this. Like, that takes just a moment. Because again, I've understood, we have established a relationship. Magic is about relationships. Think about that. It's our relationships with spirit, with place, with ourselves, with the universe, with the situation, with other people. It's all about relationships, and you need to foster those relationships. You need to establish them. You need to stoke those fires or let them cool. Respect. So Rachel says, being a Gemini is the most fun when you feel super witty and then all the words become gibberish in your mouth. Yes. Like, that should get tattooed right here. Don't forget, Mom, I'm not going to do that. If my mom ever watches any of these. Probably not. I'm sure she'd probably like shut it off after the first 3 minutes. So, yeah, this Laura, is a quote there. Magic it's about relationships. I think I was probably writing a little bit about that today in the in Visual Alchemy. Magic starts with thought, and then from there, like, it's communication. And then I think about, since I'm writing a lot about art right now too, is art is a communicative process. It's about expression, and sometimes we make art to simply express, and then we make art to communicate. And expressing something and communicating are not always the same thing, because I can make a piece of art, put it out into the world, and I've fulfilled my artistic expression. But if I want to create a piece of art that starts a conversation, that has some sort of effect, like shared magic sigils or sort of thing, or a devotional painting, connecting to a spirit or a person or an ancestor, right? That is beyond just the expression of the moment of what needs to be satisfied by the artist, and goes into a larger, greater communication, which is part of a relationship. So you heard it here first. Unless I've already said this again, which I probably Jomar, let's see. Rituals blend into every moment of my life. An example for a parent, right? There is the ritual for going to bed. There is the how do we get ready for bed. Do you take your clothes off if you put a nightgown on, or pajamas, or you strip down to underwear? Do you take medication? Do you take a drink of water? Do you play with the cats? Right? All of these things, these are kind of part of the process in order to get to that next state. It's the that liminal transition space. So Victoria says the blue candle. Yeah, so I had a blue, a red, and a yellow one, and I was like, she wants the blue. It's a good blue. It has a cat hair in it. So it's a little secret. So I nearly put a little black cat peeping up out of her dress. And I was sort of undecided because Gracie kept popping up, and I was like, what is this? And, there's a lot of conflicting information about Marie Laveau. A lot of fiction, not a lot of fact, a lot of assumptions. And some of the things I saw is that she had an affinity for dogs. And I'm thinking, I think she might. I don't know. I kind of feel like she might have been a cat lady. I don't know. I mean, she had a snake, so there's that. So the snake was in there, but I was kind of like, do I sneak a kitten in here? But I didn't go there. Figured that was not something I can absolutely confirm. So that little cat hair that's now in the candle, which is a black cat hair. See, what does it mean when the camera gets blurry while I'm talking about Marie Laveau? So yeah. Oh, folks. All right. So I've been doing this for an hour. Thanks for hanging out with me. I think it's a Saturday night. This is what we do now, right? And I had them. I'm like, wouldn't it be great to go out on a Saturday night? I'm like, if there anybody out, it's going to be a lot of people out that I probably don't want to run into people. Plus, again, it's still hot. So, and I have a 4-hour workshop to teach tomorrow. So we're going to have a restful evening. Maybe work even a little bit more on the book, and I'll also get on my I'm interested to hear this, Ivy, at some point, to the opinions. Everyone had cats at the back, right? Everybody had, like, it's just, you would probably have a cat in the household. It just makes more sense. Like, the dog would be in the yard, but the cat is probably going to be in the household. That's just how New Orleans works. We'll see, the camera's going blurry again, so we'll go leave me. I didn't put the cat in the picture. I didn't put the dog in the picture. There's only a snake. Don't step on snake. So thank you all for hanging out. Please stay healthy and get up to some magical mischief. Remember, magic is about relationships. Also, small bites, a little bit at a time. And again, if you have questions or things particularly that you'd like to see in the Witchful Workout, or for 6 Minutes of Witchcraft, you can send those you can post them on the YouTube channel. You can put them on my author page. kind of send messages. I don't always get notifications about the messages on my author page, so I'm not ignoring you if I don't see it right away. Facebook is weird because it's Facebook. So thank you all. Yay. Thank you, Karen and Victoria and Rachel and Sheila and Julmar and Janet and Sue Ann and Ivy and Rick and Danushka. The Furry Asshole Brigade, yes. All the folks, I don't know who else is still there, but if I said hi to you, I also say bye to you, and hopefully see you all again soon. Good night, everyone.